Next is Ms. Biggert from Illinois.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I've done, one of the things that I really care about is financial literacy and education, and we've worked with the federal agencies and the private sector through our caucus with Mr. Hinojosa. And Ms. Warren, shouldn't we concentrate on improving federal education and regularly reviewing consumer testing and improving product disclosures, which I would result in an efficient and innovative market instead of so much government control. Mr. Pollack mentioned personal responsibility, and I think that he's right that nobody's really mentioned that there is a role for the consumer to really take responsibility for when they're getting into a product, to really do the research. Are we just saying, well, the government can do it for us? And should we mandate financial literacy in the schools? You know, we've tried to stay away from that while really, going forward with it. But is this something that should actually be a course in the schools?
Well, Congressman, I actually would like to say I also talked about personal responsibility in my direct testimony. To make the point that this is not about people who go to the mall and charge up thousands of dollars that they can't afford, or who buy 5-bedroom houses that they never had a hope of paying for. This is about people who get trapped by the products themselves. I'm completely in favor of making these products transparent enough that people can read them, understand them, and make smart financial decisions. Literacy is not going to solve the problem of reading a 30-page credit card contract. Congresswoman, I have assigned these contracts in the past to my own classes at Harvard Law School. Everyone in the room has a college diploma, at least 2 years of law school, and has me as a reason that they better read carefully.
Well, for
and
example,
they can't figure out
in Illinois, though, there's, lawyers are at the closings and really work with their clients, and part of the responsibility is to explain that. And maybe it's all legalese. And we've already suggested in so many times to have a one-page disclosure, to have RESPA to be a 1-page or 3 pages so that people can understand that. But just to make a whole new agency based on that, because it's kind of like we kid around here that sometimes we have our staff, and we call this assisted living for members of Congress. You have to take the responsibility yourself. Maybe, Mr. Pollack, could you say a little bit more about personal responsibility?
As I said in my testimony, Congresswoman,
I'm sorry, I missed it because we had to go vote. But.
The best reason to have really good disclosure, and I completely agree with you, Professor Warren, about good disclosure, is that it enables personal responsibility. And the main question, in my opinion, which should be addressed by all credit disclosures, is to the customer, can I afford the debt service commitments I'm making? And how much risk can I take? I'm not against people deciding to take risk, but they ought to know and understand what risk they're taking.
Thank you. And then, Ms. Seidman, you state in your testimony that the CRA should be left with the prudential regulator. Why is that, when it seems like part of that was really the problem? You know, we've got 90-some, 92, 93, 94 people paying their mortgages on time, and they really, didn't have a problem with this. But when we had the CRA and the pressure on the banks to loan to people that maybe shouldn't have even been in the market yet, and yet you take that out of what would to be a regulator for consumer protection and leave that with the other regulator.
Congresswoman, I think you're asking two questions. One is the question of whether CRA caused the problem. And
right.
As Mr. Yingling testified, the answer to that is no. I also believe the answer to that is no, and a good deal of recent research by the Federal Reserve has demonstrated just how little effect CRA actually had in generating high-cost loans in low-income communities, which is the only thing that CRA counts. The second question that you're raising, though, is whether CRA belongs in this agency. And in my testimony, I suggest that it may not be, because a piece of CRA is indeed this whole issue of access to good quality consumer financial products, but a very big and very important piece of CRA is community financial investment, the charter schools, the affordable rental housing, the community centers. All of those kinds of investments are really not a consumer protection issue. I also agree with Mr. Yingling that CRA is written very appropriately to say that these actions must be taken in a manner that is consistent with safe and sound operation. That's what the prudential supervisors do. Thank you.
The gentleman from Kansas.